Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. With season 2, we obviously saw a lot of changes to the overall meta here in Warzone. They had weapon tuning that buffed and nerfed some things, but we also had another major meta change in the form of the perk meta. This was obviously something that was very basic, very straightforward throughout all of season 1 and since the launch of Warzone 2, just because it was nothing but the default preset perk packages that frankly just weren't all that good. There weren't many great combinations. You just kind of had to make do with what there was. But obviously with the launch of season 2, we got the ability to customize our own perk packages, which is a huge deal. We can now capitalize on the strengths of the various different perks in tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 and make some very powerful setups. And in this video, I want to go over some of the better perk combinations and basically what perks from each tier are worth using and what ones are worth avoiding. But I also want to point out a major flaw with this perk system that is currently going on in game. As you can see, these are the season 2 patch notes from day 1, right? Players can now customize their perks, basic as can be, but they also disabled 2 perks and completely removed them from the game. They disabled and removed overclock because frankly that doesn't have much of a use in Warzone 2, and the most important change, they disabled and removed Birdseye from Warzone 2 because it was so broken. As we've talked about several times on the channel in the past, whenever you had Birdseye active, you got all the pings from your own UAV and from your own stronghold, but then any other team that called in a UAV or any other team that owned a stronghold, you would also get the pings from those on your radar, which essentially meant that the second that you got Birdseye equipped and you got your custom loadout there, you had an infinite UAV throughout the entire game up until the point that all the UAVs had been purchased from the buy stations, right? Which made Birdseye absolutely the #1 most powerful, most clutch perk in the game. So in theory, removing that here in season 2 solves that problem. They removed it, they said, to balance it out. It'll return at some point further down the road where it's no longer so overpowered. Except Birdseye actually isn't fully removed. This is just one example of a Reddit post here. There's several of these, and I've also seen multiple comments from you guys on the videos, multiple tweets, and I've seen footage of it happening in game as well. Just an FYI, Birdseye is still in the game for some. You might remember that before season 2 was introduced, there was a glitch since the start of Warzone where basically some players, not everyone, but completely random players for some reason had access to create custom perk packages. The vast majority of players, 95% of players, were forced to pick between Vanguard and Commando and all the other basic default preset perk packages. And then like 5% of players, or whatever the actual value is, had the ability to create whatever perk packages they wanted to. And apparently, once they removed Birdseye, if you still had the option to have the custom perk packages and your account was glitched, Birdseye was never actually removed off of your custom perk package. And now that season 2 is here and we can all create our custom perk packages, if you were someone who had the ability to do custom perks from the start of Warzone, Birdseye, if you didn't change it off your class, is still usable right now, multiple weeks after it's been removed from the game. So just an FYI, just a PSA for anyone from Call of Duty or Activision or Raven or anyone who has the chance to maybe fix this in game. Currently, players are still able to access Birdseye if they haven't adjusted their custom perk packages that were glitched before season 2. So despite none of anyone new playing the game or the majority of players not being able to access it, it's not entirely removed. I feel like the only actual real fix for that is them having players just completely reset all their perk packages. They have to go through and basically reset everyone's package to a default preset one so that no one even has the chance of having Birdseye active in Warzone 2. At least off the top of my head, I'm not sure how they'd pinpoint exactly who has it and who doesn't unless they can just see that per account, and that'd probably be a very painful process to go through one by one. So definitely a major flaw in this custom perk system. Now, as we get into the conversation about what perks are the best here, outside of obviously Birdseye being glitched, quick reminder, if you guys are new to the channel, every day I'm your one-stop shop for all things going on in COD. So if you want to guarantee you're always up to date with the latest news, updates, intel, tips, loadouts, all that stuff, feel free to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications. Also, if you guys enjoy the video, let me know by dropping a like on it as well. Would be seriously appreciated. But let's talk perk packages here. We can go through and obviously edit, and we got 4 total perk slots to choose from. Obviously, the first 2 being the same perk pool for perk 1, if you will. So 2 perk 1s, 1 perk 2, 1 perk 3. And frankly, most of the ones here in perk 1 aren't crazy good. Strong arm just allows you to see that trajectory of your throwables. I don't feel like that's something that's ever going to overtake something as good as overkill. For having your custom 2 weapons on a class and double time, personally, those are my top 2, obviously why I have them equipped out right here. The increase of attack sprint time in and of itself works for double time as a huge movement meta, if you will, and having 2 custom primaries is huge as well. Battle hardened, not bad, but I also feel like it's not doing enough against things like flashes, for instance. Those are crazy strong. The pro of battle hardened here, and the main reason I would say to use it if you wanted to, is because it makes you immune to snapshots. So that's a nice pro, but outside of that, I don't feel like it's actually like working that well in game. It's kind of weak. Scavenger is huge, only for resurgence, I feel like, because of the extra plate that you get off of a player's body bag. The plate issue, even though everyone is guaranteed to drop at least 1 plate on resurgence right now, it's just so rough finding plates consistently. I know my biggest issue late game is, man, I have no plates. Guys, I need a plate. Anybody got 2 plates for me? Anybody got a plate box? So Scavenger is huge. I think that's an absolute meta perk on Resurgence specifically, and for that you could switch out double time or overkill, whichever one you value the least, if those are your first 2 initially preferred ones. Bomb squad, not really anything too crazy in my opinion. EOD, basically I don't see it doing that much, and tracker is all right, but it's only useful if you're right next to enemies. Definitely one that I think is more useful on Resurgence than normal BR, but I'd take Scavenger over that personally. So the main 3 out of perk 1, overkill, double time, Scavenger, those are by far in my opinion the go-to meta perks for that. Tier 2 is a little bit more straightforward. I think most of these aren't all that crazy either. Resupply, I love. It's just restock, very basic. You get to recharge your equipment over 30 seconds, and that's huge for having, you know, the Semtexes, the smokes, and your other equipment that you might want to use on a class over time, especially late game, and that's often when players run out unless they have munition boxes. That one is super clutch, absolutely a meta choice. Spotter, not really a big factor in Warzone. In multiplayer, sure, you're going for camo challenges, it's awesome, but I don't really see it being too huge here. Cold-blooded, not a bad option here because there is a decent amount of thermal spam in game, but I don't feel like it's a tier 1 perk here in tier 2. Bad phrasing there, but I feel like resupply still stands above that. Fast hands is one that's pretty clutch here. It's just like amped, obviously, back from Warzone 1. So this and resupply personally are what I think stand out the most, especially if you are an aggressive player. The weapon swap in this game can be very, very slow and oftentimes get you killed with how fast the TTK is. So having that faster weapon swap, having the faster reload, that's really, really nice. And then focus, I mean, it gives you reduced flinch, but quite frankly, I don't feel like I noticed the difference much. When I've tested this out and used this, it wasn't really all that crazy. Unless you're a very slow-paced player who likes to sit back and snipe, maybe that's a good option, but really perk 2, fast hands, and resupply I think are the go-tos. And then we get into perk 3 here, and we really don't have many options, but what we do have for the most part is decent. Survivor, yeah, nah, I'm good. Enemies that down get automatically pinged. I mean, it's cool to have that auto ping, but I don't really see this being a main factor. Quick fix, in my opinion, by far the most valuable tier 3 perk, because as soon as you get that knock on a player, your health starts regenning, and with how fast the TTK is here in Warzone and how important your base health is, having that regen as fast as possible, as often as possible in gunfights when you're fighting at a disadvantage, 1-on-2, 2-on-3, 3-on-4, whatever the case may be, so clutch. I love quick fix, especially for an aggressive player. Ghost, kind of useless in this game still, because if you shoot, doesn't matter if you are suppressed, doesn't matter if you're unsuppressed, if you shoot while the UAV is active, it's going to show you on that UAV. So Ghost is only useful if the enemies have a UAV and you're not shooting, which, I mean, late game, that's not an option. You have to be shooting. You have to be trying to get that W. So Ghost, I feel like, is absolutely just useless right now for the most part. And then High Alert is decent. Getting that vision pulse notification if someone's looking at you is great. I think that's the 1B option here. 1A being quick fix, 1B being High Alert. So you got a couple of options in every single category here to play around with. Of course, experiment with different combinations, see what works well for you, but that is my recommendation for each different tier as of right now. And like I said, also wanted to highlight how broken it is, how some players can have Birdseye while the rest of us clearly cannot with the perk options here. But that's gonna wrap things up for this one. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new here, feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications so you can always stay up to date with all things going on. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.